technology decision making within the family office, what role does that typically fall under?
Great question, Mark. I think there's a lot of confusion there. I think one of the biggest challenges that families have when it comes to technology is nobody has direct ownership over it typically. I mean, the multi-billion-dollar family offices that are institutionalized, they probably have a chief technology officer and or an IT department that can help manage this. That typically falls underneath the COO in a big org chart. But anything below that, it's a hodgepodge typically. I mean, what you usually see is a constellation of responsibility. So investing reporting goes to the CIO, general ledger goes to the CFO, consolidated reporting is maybe the COO, maybe the CEO president. There's not really a holistic coverage of it, which I think is why implementation, onboarding, and execution is such a pain point for everybody, because nobody truly has like direct ownership over it. And then usually a capital allocation comes from the board, right? The board says, hey, we need to improve our technology stack, go to the market, run an RFP, figure this out. But then they're largely disengaged from the conversation. And so it's frankly, I think that's one of the bigger challenges is, in my experience, technology can be anywhere from under the HR person, under CFO, under COO, under the CIO, under the CEO. And I think when everybody owns something, nobody owns it.
I think sometimes you see, I certainly see that the buying behavior on the single family offices too. I can call it somewhat irrational. Like you can have a solution that makes a lot of sense and lines up every criteria, but the change management aspect, the risk aversion, sometimes the lack of ownership of that can be a problem for folks. I think what ends up happening is it becomes event driven. Some sort of event happens, and then it's a little bit more of a scramble. Somebody departs, or the Excel spreadsheet that they had becomes corrupted, and then they're really kind of making decisions under pressure, which isn't necessarily great.
Well, like our friend Ray D'Annunzio always says, technology cannot solve an operations problem. And I think a lot
software process, bad process, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think families think of these things as these panaceas and silver bullets, and they need to take a step back usually and just think through their processes and procedures and operations first. And then, to your point, I see a lot of reactionary acute pain point of like, I hate my dashboard. I don't like my investing reporting product. Let's change it. But then they think, well, how is that going to interplay with general ledger? What is that going to mean from an API perspective? Like, does that mean that we also need to input a CRM to be able to produce the reporting that we want? And there's just like this cascade of challenges to come with it. So a lot of opportunity there.
I think one of the things I see too is that they tend to be, they're kind of solving yesterday's problem. They have this pain point. They want that pain point to go away without necessarily taking a look at, what is the technology roadmap? What's the future state of the family office, and how can technology support that future state? Versus they have this immediate pain point. They find a point solution to pain, did that, and then all these other ripple effects, right? Does it integrate with your general ledger? Does somebody have to input that information? Do I need to have some sort of middleware that sits in between? And on and on it goes. You can see the impact of those decisions when they're made in kind of these narrow silos. Let's talk about the impact of AI. Obviously, the impact of AI is rippling across all industries. Certainly, wealth management and family offices not immune to that. How is AI impacting staffing at family offices?
They're certainly spending a lot of time talking about it. I'm not sure they're actually doing anything with it, but there's been a lot of directives brought down from principals and family office boards and leadership saying, figure this out. I think there's a huge opportunity, frankly, for families to leverage it. The biggest challenge that everyone kind of ultimately comes to, and we have the same problem within our business, I'm dealing with it right now, is the highly sensitive nature of the data. I think, generally, directionally, you want to own your own data. Beyond that, being able to have something operational and searchable and actionable that's ring-fenced properly is the big problem that families are facing within, because they don't have enough money nor the resources to have a proprietary tool. Like even the big banks are struggling with this, right? But I think we're really close. Like we're a step away from being able to have huge data resources that are searchable, actionable, and operational through large language models. And I think AI is going to be a huge boon. What I tell most folks is I hope it comes soon, because the families I know, the professionals are stretched thin, they're under-resourced, they're overworked. And if this can help make things more efficient and the delivery of service better, that's great. And I hope it really does work. But you can't just let this information out into Gen Pop, as my wife puts it, is way too dangerous. So I think that's what everyone's waiting for, is the ability to have some kind of customized privacy pooled data that you can actually start leveraging.
Yeah, I think AI with family offices, it's a lot like teenage sex. Everybody's talking about it. Nobody knows anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, the families that I work with, no one's actually doing anything with it. I mean, they're just kind of talking about it, but on a day-to-day basis, other than like Claude, just to teach you stuff, no one's actually using it in their workflows, in my experience. So
I do see it. It has enormous potential, I think, for family offices in a couple of areas, and you've touched on these. One is the elimination or the great reduction in that low value first mile process, and you're seeing that with alternative investment data solutions. Like it used to take a CFO or high level executive to interrogate a document, a capital call, or evaluation statement, to be able to really translate that into a proper financial or investment data. Now you're seeing that kind of first mile kind of some almost eliminated with the solutions that are out there. I mean, there's so much of that information too is within alternative investments and even legal documents and trusts and wills and estates. They're in documents. They're in unstructured data, and the ability for AI to be able to unlock that is huge.
yeah, I mean, we have 23 years worth of data, and I could only port so much over into HubSpot. It's just not manageable. And so what a lot of families do, I mean, you tell me, but I think when it comes to all this legacy data they have, they just at some point say, hey, starting Jan 1, we're just going to move forward with this data set because it's too painful to migrate all this legacy data over. If AI could solve that problem, it'd be great, right? But I just don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah, I mean that historical data is a challenge for a lot of family offices with technology implementations. It can be really expensive. The more historical data you bring over, and often like the quality of that data, the older it gets, the lower quality it is. And AI really needs high quality data to get the results that you want. And certainly when you look at like general ledgers or investment accounting systems, I call it a land war in Asia when you're trying to do, since inception data conversions. I mean, you have to for alternative investments, but financial accounting, like, yeah, let's load up that balance and go forward and call it a day, and then go back to that old system when you need to. I think it's a little bit more of it.